I'm Chris.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are the Enchanted Reading Specialists coming to you from the Big Conscious Couch.
Hello, today we thought that we would probably talk about a spooky topic, right? Graveyards or
Ghosts.
Cemeteries.
Yeah. So you used to play that when you were younger, right? Ghosts in the Graveyard? Mm-hmm.
We did. It's one of my most favorite memories with my cousins. We'd go out after dark and chase each other around and try to make it to home base.
Mm-hmm. And every horror movie ever starts with a graveyard scene.
Oh, especially the black and white ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just remember like the hand coming out of the grave. But yeah, a lot of people that we talk to are really creeped out by cemeteries and graveyards, whatever you call them. I don't know, but I've always had kind of an affinity for them. I don't know.
Right, and we have some friends who like hang out in them. Like the paranormal friends we have are like in the graveyards and all the time. So
yeah, they're always trying to pick up the energy and stuff. We don't need machines, but
some of them don't either.
There are, I don't know, like a piece about it. I mean, you can certainly sense sometimes when there are, you know, unsettled souls or that have messages, and they'll come through and hope, you know, that you can get a message to somebody. But for the most part, you know, they don't hang around in the graveyard in my experience. But it's a quiet, peaceful place, and if I end up tapping into someone or I'm drawn to a gravestone, then I kind of try to hear what they have to say, or you know, how they died. I just want to tell their story or something like that. But I don't know, it always feels kind of peaceful to me.
Mm-hmm. And you know, they're different around the world. Ours are pretty like name, date, no story behind it, beloved father, son, whatever that is. But sometimes when you travel to other countries, especially if it's a very old graveyard, it'll tell the story of like how they died.
Oh wow, the world traveler. I haven't been out of the U.S., so
so when we were in Scotland, they would say, "This is so and so's son-in-law. He passed away from cholera. He was." Oh
wow, you got like the whole life story.
Yeah, and can you imagine like carving that into the stone,
especially back in the day? I mean,
and
nobody has
right, and it held for that long. Wow. So yeah, interesting. But yes. So graveyards, let's just go hang out in one for a while and chat. You know, it would be fun to bring the Big Conscious Couch out to a graveyard. We should travel out sometime.
We could do that sometime. As long as we don't tap into anyone's personal something they don't want to reveal. Right. But I think when I was younger, before I really tapped into my gifts and understood them, I would go if I just wanted a quiet, peaceful walk, and I would, you know, find a headstone, and I would, you know, what's between the dates, right? What does that line represent? Or like, why did they die so young? Or, you know, you see a whole bunch of people in a row that kind of died the same month and year, and so you're like, oh, there must have been like a sickness or something, that there was an outbreak. But just kind of learning that piece of history and trying to figure out what it was that could have caused their death, and wishing that I knew more, but like trying to tap into, I guess, my intuition or what spirit was telling me at the time, wanting confirmation of like, oh, so I wonder if I was right, you know.
Okay, ego.
I know we've talked about that before, but that's where I can remember having those memories, you know, back when I was younger. And I think I got it from my mom. She'd always walk in the cemetery and
Oh, I remember. So when I was little, we had always the Memorial Day. There was always some kind of a service or something that was happening, but there were rules when I went to the graveyard, because you had to walk very carefully so that you didn't step behind the headstone, because then you'd be walking on someone, and I could never figure that out. Like, but if they're already gone and their spirit is gone, how am I walking on them?
And they're 6 feet down.
That was a respect thing. Don't do it.
We were told the same thing, but it was in front of the headstone. Like the headstone's at the head, and then their body was out behind it. So it's like, no, don't walk on them. And it's like, I never really understood it either. but it still stuck with me.
That would be one of those things that we're gonna have to historically figure out why there has to be some kind of a wives' tale or something that goes along with that.
It doesn't leave much room to walk though. Then you're just kind of walking in between all these little ones.
I know. So then it would be like walking on eggshells when you went to visit grandma out at the graveyard, right?
And how do you, like, if you're gonna lay flowers or plant anything there, how do you do that without stuff?
I think that things have changed since we were little, but yeah, it was a rule. There was only certain places you could walk there, so be careful.
Be very careful. Yeah, no, I had the same things, but yeah, it didn't really make sense. Just like like how you could fit multiple people, I guess, in one spot, but.
I know it has to go all the way back to Egyptian times if we went down that rabbit hole, I'm sure.
Probably. Yeah. Well, mostly I think, like, just to talk about them is not being so scary. Like, people always act like maybe they're just haunted, or like people are, these
dark energy lives
hanging around there. And I know, like, when my grandpa passed and I missed him, and I would go sometimes when I was really feeling down and I just, like, needed to kind of cry, and I'd go out and find his headstone and cry and talk to him, out there, and then becoming more and more in tune with spirit and embracing my gifts. It was like, oh, I don't need to go out there to do that. Like, he's not living there, and what? That may be a misconception that I think a lot of people, it's a place to pay respects. But truly, like, our loved ones who have passed, like, we can pay them respect every day. I mean, just by talking to them, asking for their opinion, and then, like, listening for the signs and trusting what those are. We did another segment on that, but
so that's really coming through our own lens, right? Yeah. So we really are. When we do our reflective ramblings, we're doing it from our own lens, because we know we have friends from other cultures that view celebrating a life very differently than we do.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
how we were raised to, whatever, put flowers on the grave.
Right. And some people leave food, and, you can go all the way back to Pharaoh and all the things that were buried with, mummified and buried, to go into the spirit world to take with you. So we know that there are lots of other ways to view this through this lens. We're coming with our own experiences, talking about how graveyards are perceived in our experiences as, again, horror movies, or that's not really what it really is, a place of peace, because there are lots of, sometimes souls will come and visit you there.
Yeah, it's not like they're hanging around and waiting for somebody to show up. Just like if, we're sitting in my living room, spirit will come and talk to us when we're with a client, or, in an office, whatever. They haven't been hanging out in the office waiting for somebody to come see us, 10 years after they died. They don't hang around the graveyard either. They're with whoever their loved one is all the time. And it's just a matter of, if you feel like that's a better place to connect, go for it. Right. But you don't need to be afraid of it or worried or think that, you're going to have a malicious spirit, like, attack you or anything because you're in a graveyard.
No.
Even if you step on the grass in
Even
front
if you step on the grass in front or behind. We're not really sure where that goes. No. Yeah. Just, Yeah.
So don't be afraid to take a walk through the graveyard. Not looking for anything, too...
You can even do it after midnight and you'll be okay.
Yeah. I just had a thought. I wonder if it kind of got that reputation because there used to be grave robbers.
Oh, maybe.
And so it was kind of a dangerous place to be, especially after dark, because if people were really...
Well, if we think about it, in the time I was growing up, everything was dangerous after dark. So there was nothing safe after
dark.
And then you grow up and find out that, midnight comes and goes, and look at that. Everyone's fine and dandy.
It was just the same, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us today on Ghosts in the Graveyard. Don't be afraid of them.
Session. Yeah. If you have any questions, find our website, enchantedreadingspecialist.com, and shoot us an email. We'd be happy to try to answer it from our perspective. Right. But for the rest of today, we're signing off. Chris and Stacy, the Enchanted Reading Specialist, coaching consciousness.
One soul at a time.
Bye.
Bye.